What if simply placing a cinnamon stick before us could open an ancient door to unseen realities? Not as a metaphor, but as a real threshold, a hidden passage between the everyday and the sacred. Since ancient times, the sages of the East and the mystics of the desert have spoken of an eye that looks not outward, but inward. An eye without a pupil, without a cornea, but with a clear and penetrating gaze. The third eye, this point, located directly between the eyes, is not a modern esoteric invention, but a deep energetic center called ajna, the center of control in ancient traditions. Controls not muscles, but visions. It doesn't move the body, but rather guides the soul. And this is where an unexpected element comes into play. Cinnamon. Yes, the same warm variety that sweetens baked goods and adds fragrance to infusions. But did you know that in ancient alchemy, cinnamon was considered fire in plant form? Its aroma penetrates, its oil is activating, and its contact with the skin creates a subtle vibration that awakens dormant areas of the energy body. In Ayurvedic medicine and certain Egyptian rituals, it was used to activate intuition and open psychic channels. So what happens when we apply cinnamon directly to the interface with deep intention and conscious breathing? Is it just a pleasant sensation? Or is it the key to a greater mystery? In this video, we explore an ancient and forgotten practice that unites matter and spirit. The ritual application of cinnamon to the third eye. We'll explore how this simple yet mysterious gesture can ignite the center of inner vision, open doors to intuition, and reconnect with subtle levels of consciousness. We'll discuss the symbolism of gentle fire, the eye that sees without looking, and the sacred act of uniting the body as a temple of revelation. We'll also explore the spiritual and philosophical background of this practice, analyze its workings from an energetic perspective, and I'll offer practical advice on how to integrate it into your daily life with respect, intention, and depth, because sometimes the greatest secrets aren't hidden in ancient codices, but in a fragrant octopus of a simple species, lying right at the threshold between your eyes. Are you ready to open this door? Since the dawn of human thought, the point between the eyes has been considered more than just a simple strip of skin. Ancient civilizations viewed it not as an anatomical region, but as a spiritual gateway, a place where the soul could receive messages without words, images without eyes, and truths without logic. The Vedic sages called it ajna, the command chakra, because the higher impulses of the being were directed from there. The Egyptians represented it as the Eye of Horus, a symbol of the balance between intuition and reason, heaven and earth. For the Taoists, this point was an antenna of the Shin, pure spirit, and its activation required more than meditation. It required the ritual use of living substances. One of these substances was frequently used in anointing, cleansing, and activating practices: cinnamon. Although we know it today as a culinary ingredient, it had a distinctly spiritual purpose in ancient times. Biblical texts mention it as one of the sacred ingredients of the anointing oil used by prophets to sanctify and open channels of divine communion. In ancient China, cinnamon, especially the bark of the cassia, was considered a yang element that could warm not only the body but also the spirit. Why cinnamon? Because its fire doesn't burn, but awakens. Cinnamon vibrates at a subtle frequency that stimulates the energy meridians without damaging them. Applied to the forehead, at the center of the third eye, its gentle warmth penetrates the auric field and creates a feeling of openness. It's not the heat of the sun, but that of dawn, firm yet gentle. Energetically speaking, the third eye needs clarity to function. And clarity is not the absence of darkness, but the presence of inner vision. Many modern practices focus on hours of meditation with the intention of opening the channel. But the most sophisticated esoteric traditions knew that there are tools from the plant kingdom that can serve as catalysts. In this sense, cinnamon acts not as a drug or miracle cure, but as a messenger of spiritual fire. In the mystery schools of the Middle East, people spoke of the fire of the eye that never sleeps. To keep it burning, initiates used hot oils and spices in rituals that combine chanting, breathing, and visualization. A gentle fire was essential. If it were too strong, it would burn and close the channel. If it were too weak, it would not bring about any transformation. Cinnamon thus became a symbol of balance, a bridge between matter and ether, between physical sense and sacred vision. Thus, the seemingly simple gesture of sprinkling cinnamon on the forehead is actually an echo of ancient Enlightenment ceremonies. It is not superstition, but a forgotten spiritual technology in which body, intention, and the plant world interact to reveal deeper dimensions of being. The third eye doesn't open forcibly, nor does it respond to commands or formulas. It opens like flowers at dawn when the environment is right, the soul is ready, and a subtle presence embraces it from within. In this context, applying cinnamon to the forehead is nothing unusual. It's an alchemical act, a silent invocation of the inner fire. The key lies in the combination of three elements: place, substance, and intention. Each has its own special power, yet united, they awaken a power that transcends the physical. Let's examine them in parts. 1. The place. The third eye as the axis of spiritual vision. The Ajna center, located between the eyes, is not just an energetic region, but a multidimensional vortex. Here, the currents of the autonomic nervous system intersect, and here lies the pineal gland, a small gland considered by many ancient sagos to be the seat of the soul. From an esoteric perspective, the third eye is a portal not to another world, but to a deeper perception. When this center is activated, perception expands. Intuitions become more frequent, thoughts clearer, and decisions are better aligned with inner truth. But Ajna needs warmth. It needs stimulation, not aggressive, but vibrant. 2. The substance. Cinnamon as a transmitter of conscious warmth. Cinnamon isn't just an aromatic plant. It's a plant spark on an energetic level. When applied to the skin, especially between the eyes, it creates a slight feeling of warmth. This heat is not random. It activates microcirculation, stimulates fine nerve endings, and, most importantly, awakens awareness of the affected area. The human brain responds with immediate attention to each new sensory stimulus. When you smell the warm flavor of cinnamon, your mind focuses on the third eye, and wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. This is one of the basic laws of energy work. Cinnamon then acts as a guide. It draws attention to the sacred threshold that has fallen asleep due to lack of use. 3. Intention. The spark that transforms a gesture into a ritual. But neither the point nor the substance remains effective without a clear intention. Energy obeys the thought that guides it. Therefore, the moment of applying cinnamon should be enveloped in stillness, presence, and an almost ceremonial manner. It's not about placing something in front of you, but rather about touching the door to the soul with fire and purpose. Accompany this act with a silent affirmation, as if this fire awakens my inner vision and reveals to me what I have not been able to see until now. At this point, the gesture becomes a vibrational seal. You have created a micro-ritual, a symbolic act full of power. Like an alchemist mixing ingredients for a transmutation, you merge matter, cinnamon, energy, warmth, and consciousness intention. This is where the magic begins. The third eye responds not to logic, but to vibrational coherence. And this combination aligns you with your goal. See the invisible, look beyond the eyes, and remember the wisdom that has always been there, hidden behind the opium veil. When you consciously rub cinnamon on your chin, you are neither performing a cosmetic procedure nor a trivial experiment. You are transmitting a clear sensation into the subtle field of your consciousness. You are ready to see, and if this sign is right, the threshold responds. Not as a sudden explosion, but as an ember that begins to burn from within. Many people initially report a slight feeling of pressure or pulsation in the center of their forehead after this exercise. This sensation is not imaginary. Rather, it is the activation of the pineal gland through external stimulation, warmth, scent, attention, and the targeted flow of energy. The pineal gland, a tiny, cone-shaped gland, is located directly behind the injection site and is surrounded by a capillary system that is highly sensitive to temperature fluctuations and mild electrical stimulation. When activated, the pineal gland secretes traces of dimethyltryptamine, DMT, a substance some associate with lucid dreaming, expanded perception, and spontaneous mystical experiences. Although cinnamon does not induce a psychedelic trip, It can open perception to a more symbolic, silent, and deeply archetypal form. Soft visions emerge, intuitions are sharpened, synchronicities intensify. Reality seems more interconnected. What were once coincidences now appear like messages. What was once mental noise now transforms into a flux of images and meanings. It's as if the soul, once it realizes that the threshold has been touched with respect, begins to reveal its secret cards. This awakening, however, isn't always pleasant. The third eye is also the eye of truth, and when it opens, it doesn't filter what it sees to make you feel good. It reveals, illuminates. This means it can bring to the surface blockages, old emotions, suppressed fears, or false beliefs that have clouded your perception. In this sense, the third eye not only opens your inner vision but also purifies it. This is where cinnamon plays an additional role. It not only activates, it also sustains. Its warm and gentle quality softens the effects of awakening. Opening the eye with a cold mental technique is not the same as doing so with an element that nourishes, caresses, and balances. Cinnamon is the fire that strengthens rather than destroys. It is the candle that glows without dimming. Another important hue is the body's response. Some people experience deeper breathing after practicing, as if their body were adjusting to a new frequency. Others report clearer dreams, old memories resurfacing like puzzle pieces, or even an urgent need to write, create, or reflect. The eye that sees also inspires, because by looking beyond the horizon, creative centers are activated, dormant ideas are tapped, and previously unexplored paths are opened. However, all this only happens if the process is carried out honorably. If it is repeated mechanically without intention or silence, the ritual loses its power. It is important to remember that one is touching a sacred symbol with a substance that vibrates with the fire of the ancients. It's not about provoking a phenomenon, but about creating space for something greater. And when it happens, you're no longer the same, because those who have awakened their inner eye don't walk blindly. Even when your eyes are closed, you see more than ever. When we talk about activating the third eye with a touch of cinnamon and pure intention, we don't mean a magic formula for escaping the world, but rather a subtle path to greater clarity. Spiritual vision isn't about flying into the distance, but rather about peering deep into what already is and seeing it with different eyes. The true power of this practice unfolds when you move from the specific moment of the ritual to your entire life. Here are some tips to ensure that this flame doesn't go out the first time, but rather becomes a torch that illuminates your path day after day. First, don't let the ritual become an empty routine. Many people make the mistake of repeating the exercise out of habit, without being present. However, the third eye responds not to repetition, but to mindfulness. Pause for a moment each time you apply cinnamon. Breathe. Focus your attention on the space between the lines, as if it were a temple. Don't just focus on the style. Also, bring your soul into the gesture. Integrate the exercise into meditation. After applying the cinnamon, you'll feel stillness. Observe. Don't try to force visions. Don't expect fireworks. The wisdom of Ajna is more like a dawn than an explosion. Allow sensations to arise without judgment. When an image arises, welcome it. When silence reigns, listen to it. Meditation with the third eye activated not only deepens your practice but also tunes it like a vibrating string. Third, listen to what the vision reveals in your everyday life. The third eye isn't just for mystical experiences. Awakening it influences how you perceive others, recognize patterns in your history, and connect the invisible threads of a conversation or decision. After practicing, pay attention to your intuition. Write it down. Speak it out. The vision will become clearer when you trust it. Fourth, use cinnamon with respect and sensitivity. There's no need to use large amounts. A small amount diluted in water or olive oil is sufficient. The point isn't to irritate the skin, but to awaken awareness of the point. The exercise should feel like an energetic caress, not a physical challenge. Every body is different, so pay attention to how yours responds. Fifth, keep your channel clean on all levels. Activating Ajna isn't just about applying cinnamon. It's also about paying attention to what you consume, think, and feel. The eyes of the soul cannot see when they are clouded by emotional confusion, mental noise, or constant digital distractions. Create space in your life for stillness, for contemplation, for questions without immediate answers. Because ultimately, seeing with the third eye doesn't mean seeing rare things. It means seeing the sacred in the everyday, the symbolic in the seemingly trivial. And if you succeed in doing that, then cinnamon is not just a species, but your ally, your key, your inner flame. Not everything you see is perceived with your eyes. There is a vision that cannot be found on the retina or in external light. It is a vision that comes from deep within, from a place beyond time, body, and thought. This place lies directly behind you, waiting for your call. The third eye is not a fantasy or an empty symbol. It is a hidden ability, an antenna that can capture the subtlest truths of the universe if given the necessary space to open. And as we have seen, this space can begin with something as simple as the conscious contact of the shin with the skin, accompanied by intention and stillness. This act is not new. It is an echo of ancient spiritual practices that knew that the sacred requires presence rather than great eloquence, that the profound does not impose itself, but rather reveals itself, and that the body, when treated like a temple, responds with wisdom. Applying cinnamon to the gap isn't a trick or a game. It's an energetic statement, a ritual gesture that informs the soul. I am ready to see. I am ready to remember. I am ready to receive what only the inner eye can show me. But remember, awakening your third eye isn't about having strange visions or escaping the physical world. It's about seeing life more clearly, more deeply, and more truly. Seeing the invisible in everyday life. Listen to the message hidden in the silence. Feel the order behind the apparent chaos. When you cultivate this practice with reverence, you begin to live differently. Your decisions will become wiser. Your relationships will become more authentic. Your purpose will become clearer. For the opened eye no longer searches for the light. It radiates it from within. And if this message has resonated with you, if you have felt that something within you is reminding you of a forgotten truth, then I invite you to take the next step. Subscribe to this channel to continue exploring the mysteries of the soul, the techniques of subtle power, and the transformative teachings of the ancestors. Leave a comment and share this video with other explorers who, like you, are awakening their inner vision. For when we share wisdom, the sacred fire unfolds, and every spark can trigger a new awakening.